Hello, my name is Cherríe Moraga, and I'm this year's recipient of the Bill Whitehead Lifetime Achievement Award. Um, Today is May 3rd, 2022. And I have some thoughts to offer you for this day. All of it really motivated by sort of a deep sense of gratitude that we even have the opportunity to have this award and that I'm given the opportunity to speak to it in some way, to have voice. I've just returned from a week's stay in Huntsville, Texas. And if you don't know Huntsville, it is about 1 hour and more than a half a century away from Houston. It is the capital of capital punishment for the entire state of Texas. On the day before my arrival, on April 26th, a Tejana mother, Texan, Melissa Lucero, was granted a state of execution, which had been scheduled to take place just around the corner from my hotel room. The execution chambers stand literally across the street from the State University campus. This morning, Huntsville, Texas remains on my mind, my own proximity to its death camps, that endless block-long brick wall, a thin divide between us and them. I can't shake the feeling of the calculated horror of it, its premeditation to murder, the thin line between the condemned and the killers. At Huntsville Sam Houston State University, there are no LGBTQI or people of color cultural centers, no gender or queer studies, no ethnic studies in a town surrounded by Black and brown communities. There are good people there at the university, white, brown, Black, and queer, trying to fill in an impossible gap of, yes, I'll say it, 530 years of slavery and the ever-evolving face of colonization. Slavery, colonization, two very dirty words, it seems now, outlawed in the K through 12 state education system in Texas and in other places, where currently legislators in Texas are now debating to extend that prohibition to the universities. If it passes, faculty have been whispering, we could all lose our jobs, tenure notwithstanding. Sometimes, if one can remove the blinders of the pretense of normalcy, we might glimpse an original America as truly occupied landscape beneath today. The vast majority of us moving about with our very spirits being settled, colonized. And if we become aware, remove the blinders, we walk about as recent immigrants might, as strangers in a very, very strange land. We bear witness to whole swaths of this country parroting the daily vernacular that sends us all back to the original encuentro, Europe and indigenous. That site of conquest, incomplete as it remains, reenacted daily, waving the flag of white capitalist patriarchy with all its insistent glory. Arriving in Huntsville, I felt I had entered a foreign country because I do not live my daily life in a Huntsville world. I brought with me my Queer Woman of Color 2020 vision. And yet I experienced it as Xicana poet laureate Mona D. Cervantes writes, this is my country, and this is not my country. So I asked myself, what does this have to do with the publishing triangle's honoring? Everything. I just got back from Huntsville. In Huntsville, queer remains in trouble unless it's profitable, and there is no profit in being visibly queer. In the body of an almost broke trans boy I met there, trying to get to manhood, mostly without a dollar to his name and barely a pocket of confidence in his heart. But he's brave, and he should get an award for bravery. This young man's story moved me, so I say it here to honor him. And I write mostly sad stories because it is the only free act I know to write about what's gone wrong, to help make it right. I hope things do get right for this young trans student. He followed me around each day, nervously bringing me tacos and cafe. He hated the feminine that is his body, he said. The feminine that kept announcing itself on the outside, while inside, he was just purely him. Courage. Courage in the red state of Huntsville, Texas. Then yesterday, I wake up to learn that the red state of the Supreme Court, a divided Supreme Court, has every intention of overturning Roe versus Wade, a female's right to abortion. And what I failed to mention about Melissa Lucio, that Latina mother on death row, was that she was convicted of killing her 2-year-old child on the basis of a fall, a push down a set of outdoor stairs. The bitterness in this juxtaposition of events rises up in my throat. Again, this is what made me a feminist, the visceral hatred of women. That sex, that gender, however you reside, might reside inside of it. We are expendable unless we are profitable. And who profits from our unwanted children? The rich. For they require an ever widening and ever darkening poor to agitate the discontent of a white population hanging on to that single pathetic thread of privilege. The poor make the rich possible. And what I want to say, who are you to literally judge? This is what we say to those privileged misogynists of this country, including the women who do their bidding. We say, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in the shoes of my body, sirs. And then you tell me who's got the right to choose to your body. Who's got the right to choose in relation to your body? Los otros del mundo, the others of the world. We still live under the same old and changing face of the cruelties of injustice, its silences, its perversions, its plain ignorance. How does one counter ignorance? I'd like to believe that writers write for just that purpose, not all of us, but those of us who find place, some slot in there of otherness. And even if you don't find that slot of otherness in you, there is a profound identification and understanding that you have everything to lose by not identifying with that other. Words like critical race theory, now easily and regretfully bantered about in a war of words, but it just intends to get the story right. It asks us to think and to think deeply. No pedigree university titles required, just theory in the flesh. To quote that once book, This Bridge Called My Back, that's still around 40 years later. Words, those words mattered. The intersectionality of women of color feminism matters, reminds us that you will never be free unless we all go there with you. Democracy is a right, not a privilege. There's too much to say about the world we have woken up to this morning. The ongoing condemning border wall of extermination against migrant Americans, the fodder that is the Ukrainian and Russian peoples. After so many words, I fear perhaps I may have strained from the topic at hand, gay and gratitude for a lifetime of achievement. But these are the things that come to me. I am grateful to the publishing triangle and to the legacy of Bill Whitehead's own acts of courage. I'm mostly grateful for the forum to speak to you, whoever's out there, to what has been missing often in queer public conversations. But even more than that, I have to say I'm grateful for the good company of my sister recipients who were in fact my actual teachers and my actual friends. Adrienne Rich, Audre Lorde, Eloise Klein-Healy, Judy Grahn, Maria Irene Fornes. And I gotta mention Cheryl Clark, my sister in arms, a perfect expression for her in arms that bespeaks of the warrior and lover of women that Cheryl is. I think, of course, also of those not mentioned here, because no doubt AIDS reached them before they could be lifetime achievers. My Black brothers, Marlon Riggs, Exit Hempfield, that Tejano rain dancer, Arturo Islas. This list of award winners is impressive, writers of poetic and prophetic vision. To keep at it over decades is to fall in love again and again with the body made of words. Would it be that we were all poets? Some of the queerest people in the world I know are poets, and some of them are actually straight. They create metaphor to help us escape the literal dumbness of those boys and now girls judging our lives. So I am grateful for this award, perhaps above all else, to be in the distinguished company of those wordsmiths that shaped my own life. All I really wanted in the quietest part of my ser, my being, is to believe myself and to be recognized as a writer of literature. So I thank you for the honor.